Okay, hi guys, welcome back. So let's continue our sessions on scripting. Today we're going to deal with a few of those important elements that are difficult to handle and how we can just handle them properly. Okay, so let's just get started on. Let me just show you what we're going to deal with today. So we have these three radio buttons. Okay, so first we will see how to select them individually, and then since what happens like if you just pass data from some data source and you don't really need to write the repeated XPaths. Okay, so how to deal with these sort of radio buttons. All right, so first of all, we need to get the element. So what's my selector for this, guys? I already have a test runner open up in here. So let's me just open the playground and see what is the. Okay, so what's that? So what one, which one should we be using? Just to that wouldn't work. If you see right, it has given some weird XPath, or I would say CSS selector, which I don't think would work. Right, you don't really use this lengthier CSS selectors. So let's just try some traditional XPath. Okay, so from here, let me just click in here. So what is that? So it's gender. So name is gender, and let's see what's the next one. So yeah, so all these three are inputs, and their name is gender. I think that's the common between them. I'm going to stick to this name gender. Okay, so what I'm going to do over here is these are the cases, guys, where you cannot rely on playground selector. So you just have to stick to your traditional XPaths on, I would say, CSS selector. So how do you go with CSS selector? So I have already made it, guys, over here. So all you have to do is input name equal to gender. It should give us three records. If you see, one of three. Okay. So let's just go with this. Get input name equal to gender. That's my selector, and I would save it as, let's say, gender. That's my relevant name to it. So that is my element that has been stored as an ls now. I can easily get that. What I need to do is cy dot get at the rate gender, and what we need to do is we need to click. All right, what we need to click. Can I just so what is this? What is this gender actually? So that's an input. Okay, but it doesn't have anything like a text or mail or something. So I'm going to pass. So from my form.json, I'm passing my gender value. So that is male. So if you would see, it has a value as male. Okay, so if you see, if it has a value as male. So there are two ways to handle such element, guys. So one is this will return you. So if you do this at the rate gender, it will return you three elements. That is what we saw over here. So it's one of three elements. Okay. Now what you can do is, you know that your this JSON, right, dot form.json is clicking on radio button male. So this is the list of elements. How do you from the list? How can you just click? How can you get the first or second or third element? You know your male is the first element. So we have something known as first. This will actually get me the radio button male. Okay, I can very well do dot click. So yeah, dot click. Right, so this should work. So from all the list of the elements, I'm getting the first and I'm clicking. So in here we are covering another important method that we have in Cypress is the first method, which gives us the first element. So I have just saved it. My test runner is already running. Let's see what happens. I'm not going to do that console npm test, guys, which we did for Mocha some reports. Since we have to interact with elements and we are in the building phase, we're just going to stick to test runner. So it should select the mail button. No, I don't think it would select. What is the issue? Being covered by another element. So that is one such case, guys. So when I made the session right on some default timeouts on default that web element handling. So Cypress uses 8 to 9 custom default inbuilt retry mechanisms, right? So it waits for the element to be present, it waits for the element to be existing, it waits for the element to be rendered, right? So over here, this is one such case. So visually, we can see that page has loaded and mail, this radio button should have been selected, but still Cypress says it is being covered by another element. Okay, so out of those 8 or 9 default assertions that Cypress has, the assertion which is failing is it is not being fully visible or fully displayed. Can you bypass this? Yes. So that is where you use force equal to true. So if I do now force is to true, this would work. So where you have to do it, you have to pass it as in form of an object inside the click method. Now if you would say, hopefully, if you would save it, hopefully it would work. Yeah, there you go. So that is where you can force element, you can bypass some checks of Cypress. So that I have discussed in my, those core concept sessions, that this is how we're going to deal with it. But guys, is it the nice way to deal with this particular element? What if I want to select a female? What if I just come here and I change the value to female? It will fail, right? Is there another way to do that? So for that, I think you need to generate a dynamic CSS selector, and that is the actual limitations of even in page object model, right? You cannot have dynamic exports, so that we use with Selenium. So that is where you cannot store this particular element as alias. You have to get rid of it, and probably if you have to handle it dynamically, it has to be done in here. Right, so what we're going to do is I'm just going to change the XPath. Sorry, CSS selector. I keep saying XPath. So its value would be male. So now I have only one of one element. So which means if I pass this particular value dynamically, I really need not, use additional methods. So I'm just going to get this element in here. So now since I have pasted this, but how will I going to pass this dynamically? So over here, guys, we will use another important concept which is more related to JavaScript. So I have covered the backtick operator in JavaScript videos. Just watch that. In concatenation video also I have mentioned, I have explained it very clearly. So backtick is a really important one. So now that will help over here. So what we're going to do is just delete it. We will be using backtick. So backtick is just next to your one number on the keyboard. Just left of it is backtick. So over here, I'll just paste that. Now backtick, you can easily parameterize this thing. And how do you parameterize? Use dollar, open and close curly braces, and then I'm going to write my form data dot gender. See guys, so we have in this single line, we have covered lots of important concepts that will actually help you when you are working on an industrial project to handle these complex elements. Okay, we have used a backtick, and I don't need that first method. I have just deleted it. Now I know that this entire thing is dynamic. Now I can just, whatever value I pass, it will just click that radio button and to work for me. If I save it, so already my test runner is running, and hopefully it would select it. Because I'm getting some error, form data is not defined. Why is that? Okay, oh sorry guys, I just missed $1 over here as well. So our variable name is actually $form data dot gender. So just save it. Come on, that's it. Automation, email, yeah. Because that's the beauty of these certain important, I would say functionalities in Cypress that we have. That was one of the most difficult element, I would say. Let's just work on another one. Let's say how to deal with this date drop downs. Okay, how do you handle these? First of all, let me just, I think mobile number should be pretty simple. I think that would not be, yeah, so it has got a really simple CSS selector. So I'm just going to do cy dot get, and my mobile number should be pretty easy. Dot as. So this is my mobile, guys. So let's just name it as mobile. And over here, this will be pretty simple to handle. Cy dot get at the rate mobile dot. So that's just type method form data dot. I think that's mobile. Let's just check out form.json. Yeah, it's in caps. You just need to be careful about the spellings. That's a simple element, guys. So that I think we have scripted now. It should be working. All right, that's great. Let's move on.